Back. We are the BTF podcast, the number one podcast for people who probably should talk about something other than football, is back live on YouTube Mondays, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Get involved because it's going to be great. I'm joined today by Greg TMR.
Hello, mate. You all right?
I'm very well. And Johnny Mills.
I'm good. How you boys doing?
We're very, very, very well. And on that note, let's roll the VT. Boom! Look at that. That is new technology we've got in the house. Big show. It's good to be back. First of all, I think that's probably the important thing. Is football eventually returned, and obviously, Back to Football podcast was going to follow that, and would eventually be back on YouTube live talking about. I think this week we have to talk about just football. Usually we do this half and half thing where we talk a little bit about Love Island, Too Hot to Handle, Tiger King, all these shows of, that are in the past now. They're in the rearview mirror. I think we've got to focus just on football. And I guess first of all we've got to talk about these kits that are in the house today. I mean, I missed the memo on the football kit thing. I decided that I'd rather match my shirt to my headphones and look a little bit like Paddington Bear. But
I'm so glad you said it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at today. But Greg, what are you repping?
Mate, it's a great week to be a Spurs fan. You got to represent the team. Yeah, man. I nearly didn't put it on, but I thought, you know what, first show back. I'm excited to be here. There's a lot to talk about, so I've got to put it on.
Nice blue number. It reminds me of Sessegnon, although he is out the door.
He is. Yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on that later, but yeah, lots of things going on today.
Off to pastures new, only for a season, I think. And John, what's the number you're repping there?
Come on. It's the one, mate. Thierry Henry on the back. Can't go wrong. Just banging goals in at White Hart Lane as usual. Just doing the thing in the old red and white. Yeah.
Is that the Invincible shirt?
No, it's not. I've actually got an Invincible shirt, but I got the away one. So do you remember the yellow kit when Perez just curled that one into the top corner against Liverpool?
I do.
Great game that was. Yeah, I've got that kit with Perez on the back actually.
With the O2 sponsor, is that right?
Yeah. That's the one. No, this is the Emirates one. I think this was the first kit in the new stadium. It says 2007, I believe.
Yeah,
0607. Yeah. One.
So what a start it's been to the football season. Let's touch briefly on the end of the season, because we obviously missed that. We show 50, I think, finished maybe a couple weeks before the Champions League took place. The Premier League hadn't quite concluded. Did that all kind of go as expected in the end? I mean, Bayern Munich kind of ran away with the Champions League itself, but the way the Premier League kind of fizzled out. Anything to note there, I guess, before we move on to this season? Spurs, of course, clinched that late Europa League place, which is quite important. Are you looking forward to Europa League football, Greg?
I definitely am. Yeah, I think so. I think it was good for Jose to definitely get into Europe one way or another. It's not the ideal he would have wanted. Obviously, we all want Champions League football, but Europa League, I think, genuinely, at the beginning of this season, when we didn't buy all the players, I thought, we could do well. But with the players that we brought in, we've made a really solid squad. It's a Jose Tottenham we're witnessing right now. And I think that we stand a really good chance of winning it. We've obviously shown intent with the games. Of course, we've not played the kind of teams that you'll see in the semi-finals, the final, quarterfinals and things like that. But we've shown real intent of we're taking this competition seriously. So I'm really excited, yeah.
And John, what about Mikel Arteta's end to the season, and then maybe quite a good start to this season as well with the Charity Shield?
Yeah, well, listen, the plastic trophy. No, listen, I can't complain. When you look back in the history books, you'll see that, in that year that Arsenal won the FA Cup. So, you couldn't have asked for a better end of the season. I mean, we did kind of fizzle out a bit, like we was kind of inconsistent, but it's surprising, I guess, to a lot of Arsenal fans. That cup run, there's no way anyone can look back and go, yeah, you beat Wigan on the way to the final. Like, we beat everyone. Do you know what I mean? Any and everyone you could beat to get there. I think, what was it? Liverpool, then City, and then Chelsea, so, 3 top teams. I think we beat Sheffield United before beating Liverpool. So, yeah, I mean, can't complain. Watched the game. It was a big game. Aubameyang, he signed that contract in the end, and we needed to get him signed up. Biggest signing of the transfer window. That's debatable. Probably. But yeah, no, he done the business. He had a great end to the season. Arteta really did show flashes that he is a brilliant coach. I just think, similarly to Jose, like he probably inherited a few players that he wouldn't have bought if he had the choice. So slowly but surely, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, there's a few guys that have gone out on loan over the last hour or so. It's just broken news. So I think, yeah, slowly but surely, yeah, give him a couple of years, and I definitely think we'll be challenging. And I also think he's come with that Arteta mentality, not Arteta, sorry, that Pep mentality of kind of trying to win the cups, trying to win the domestic cups. Like Pep always won the, I was gonna say Carling Cup.
Wenger always won.
No, Wenger never really went for the League Cup, really.
Oh,
he
the
always
League
played
Cup.
the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, he always played the kids. But like, I think that Pep will, not Pep. I keep saying getting them mixed up now. They've kind of merging into one. Yeah. I think that Arteta will kind of take that on, and I'm really looking. Well, I hope he does. That the same way that Pep used to always try and go for those domestic trophies and League Cup, FA Cup, and stuff. Like City, can't remember anyone else winning the League Cup over the last few years. So yeah, it'd be good to see if Arsenal, if he takes that on, and because winning the league's going to be really hard, apart from maybe this season, because everyone's just losing left, right, and centre, aren't they? So I think, once things settle down and stuff, I think it's going to be impossible for teams like Arsenal and Spurs to win it. So winning a trophy, can't complain.
Yeah. So also, obviously, we're coming at you today on the 5th of October, which is transfer deadline day. As John and Greg have both mentioned, there's been a lot of deals going on today, back and forth. Obviously, it's a developing scene, and we'll try and, if anything breaks, we'll try and give update on that. A quick 10-15 second update. Greg, you mentioned something about Jack Wilshere just before we came on air.
Yeah, so Jack Wilshere's contract with West Ham has been terminated by mutual consent. He's heading off after 2 years there, and just breaking, Arsenal have triggered the £45 million release clause for Thomas Partey.
Nice.
So that looks like it could be completed.
Cool. He's a good player, dynamic midfielder. John, think he'll improve your team?
Oh, massively. Massively. I think we need a bit of, especially when you play in teams that really want to get rough and tumble. I think, Xhaka can get a bit of fan wanted in there, rather picking up cards rather than making crucial tackles. So yeah, definitely big games. I think Thomas Partey is a big game player, and hopefully we'll see that. Hopefully he'll hit the ground running. And yeah, well, that's if we get him, triggered the So now we can talk to them. I think we've triggered that release clause, which means they can. I think it works differently in Spain. I think they can talk to the league and kind of talk to the player. I don't think they even need to communicate with
the club,
with the club at all. Right. I think they can just kind of. I think it's weird. I think they go ask the league. Similar thing happened with Messi. Like,
you
had to speak to the league rather than Barcelona. It's just all weird. But yeah, conversations are going to be happening now. So hopefully we can get that one over the line, because I'm an avid Arsenal fan TV watcher just for the bounce, because it's a good laugh. And that's the one that they've been talking about on Arsenal fan TV for the last 6 weeks or so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Trying to get Partey in. And so if that happens, I think they'll be buzzing.
Yeah, good signing. And we should also mention that tonight is obviously the deadline for bringing players in from outside of the UK, but the EFL and Premier League transfer window, sort of between clubs, is on the 16th. So we'll have an update on that in a couple of weeks' time. as I'm sure there's going to be some players moving kind of left and right. It seems to be the year of players going back to their old clubs. Obviously, we've seen a huge deal with Real Madrid and Spurs for Gareth Bale to come back on loan, but also it looks like Theo Walcott might be heading back to Southampton today. I think he's down there on the south coast in Southampton is Hampshire. And he's having a medical down there. So maybe a new lease of life for Theo Walcott, who seems to not be quite cutting it in the rampant Everton team that we're seeing now, which we're going to discuss later in the show. We should get on with things as we are trying to limit ourselves to 1 hour today. So our first topic is the big result yesterday. Now,
which one?
There was a huge, the later result yesterday of Aston Villa beating Liverpool 7-2. Now, guys, did you watch the game itself? Green screen moments here from Greg. Greg, this is a new feature, is that right?
Yeah, it is. So this is my images that precede unfortunate events of the week. This is Klopp, my good mate Jurgen, sitting there on the touchline, just not sure what's happening in front of him, as we all were. Back to you, Dan.
Back to me. The late kickoff in the day, I think it was a 6 p.m. kickoff on a Sunday. Obviously, the TV schedules are like all over the place at the moment because we're not on a regular schedule. Aston Villa versus Liverpool. I think most of us were probably expecting to tune in and see. As a precursor to this, there's no Mane, no Alisson, no Thiago. Okay, so put that on the table to begin with. There's still a pretty epic squad and a very sort of seasoned group of guys that are just turning over teams every week. It went 1-0 early. We thought, okay, we've seen Liverpool go to 1 down before. It's fine. They went 1 down, I think, the week before to Arsenal, to that, Robertson assisted goal that Lacazette scored. Then it goes 2-0, and you're thinking, okay, something could happen here. Salah gets a goal back. At that point, I don't think there's a person in the country that wasn't thinking Liverpool are going to just steamroll them now and win like 4-2, 5-2, score a load of goals. Half time, 4-1. Now, what are you thinking at that point, John? 4-1 at half time. Is a half time team talk for Klopp going to turn that around?
Oh, mate, I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I think it was 8, Dan. I think it was 8 o'clock kickoff because I remember coming down. I remember coming down because I was doing a few bits and pieces, and I came down and I turned it on and I saw 2-0. I was like, whoa, what? And it wasn't just the result. It was the way that Villa were playing and the way that Liverpool were playing, and I was just like, yeah, something's not right here. But yeah, 4-0 at half time. You know what? I must say, a part of me still did think they were going to come out in the second half. Salah was going to go, hyper mode, and he was going to get a hat trick, or something. But yeah, it just didn't happen, did it? They just kind of got from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Part of me was hoping for 8, really, because for many a years as an Arsenal fan, I've had to hear Man United supporters say, "I'd 8-2 be an Arsenal fan." So I was thinking, please, one more going, but. They just couldn't get number 8. But yeah, it was shocking.
Back to the timing, we split the difference. It was a 7:15 kickoff. Apparently, I knew it was something strange because it ended at a weird time. But so they come out for the second half. I mean, for starters, Ollie Watkins gets a first half hat trick. His first 3 goals in the Premier League come in 45 minutes against arguably the best Premier League team of the last 10 years. I think they slightly edge Pep's City of 2 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. Ollie Watkins of Brentford, of the beaten Brentford in the Championship playoff final. He's looking like a great pickup for Aston Villa, and then also a man who played better than I've ever seen him play. And I mean, when he came onto the scene with Everton, he was kind of touted as maybe the next Wayne Rooney level talent come out of the blue side of Merseyside. And it never quite followed through to him. He had a transfer to Chelsea, and now he seems to have gone on loan, I think, at Aston Villa. Ross Barkley, he was insane in that half. I mean, the amount of freedom that he had to run on the ball, but the amount of confidence as well. And him next to Jack Grealish in that midfield looks like, exciting times ahead if you're an Aston Villa fan. Greg, did you see the highlights of Barkley's? Did you watch the game live, Greg? By the way,
no. So I was keeping updated by you on the phone, but
yeah.
I watched much of the day afterwards. And going back to the squads we were talking about, I was expecting Liverpool to have played like a real, like Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, all of this. They were playing a good team. Like we mentioned, we've got Adrian in goal, but you've still got Van Dijk, you've still got Joe Gomez, you've still got a solid squad around you. That shouldn't have been happening. That shouldn't have been, there's no excuses for it, really. But yeah, Ollie Watkins as well with the perfect hat trick, one on his left, one on his right, one on his head. I think I remember seeing in the transfer window, they were talking about that they might have overpaid for him from Brentford. That was a bit of talk. Yeah. But, I mean, I've probably underpaid at this point. But yeah, brilliant game. Brilliant game.
I mean, obviously, it's a shame that Levi's not on the show today. Hopefully he'll be back next week. But I mean, obviously, I don't want to lay into to Liverpool's performance too much because I'm sure everyone has off days. Every team has off days, as did another big player in the Premier League yesterday. I'm wondering, are these results something that are specific to this time period that we're playing in? So these games behind closed doors, are they the reason that we're seeing these crazy high scoring games? Because players don't have the fans getting on their back. There's no one there booing, or jeering at Jack Grealish every time he gives the ball away or attempts to dribble around someone and doesn't get through. And likewise, there's no away Liverpool fans maybe to inspire the team. And also, I just think players like Ross Barkley seem to be coming alive in front of no fans. So I don't know whether there's a confidence thing there, and teams are, once you kind of get in the groove, there's no external factors to kind of shift momentum elsewhere. So you're just getting these landslides.
I definitely think that home advantage is almost completely gone at this point, as you say, with the fans. I mean, we'll get onto it better later on, but if the fans were in Old Trafford yesterday, we probably wouldn't have got past that 1-0 in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It would have been a different story. Also, I thought about it today. Do you think that over lockdown, it's easier for a striker to be practicing at home rather than a defender? In that a striker, if you've got enough of a garden, you can be pinging free kicks all day long, shooting at goal with that. Whereas a defender, you've got to be up against a man. And if you've only got like your Labrador with you in lockdown, you've not really got a lot to defend against. I know it's been a long time since lockdown, but I wondered if that was maybe a factor.
I agree. I think obviously in more like sort of coaching terms and stuff, it's with the defense, it's never like just one, isn't it? They all work in tandem, don't they? And they haven't had a lot of time. It's almost like we're seeing everyone's pre-season be played out in front of our eyes against top teams. It's not like Liverpool, they can play like that against, I don't know, Wickham or something, and then they could amble through and get the win. But no, it's the Premier League. Like you say, like Ollie Watkins, if he's sharp, or there's a couple of sharp strikers, and defense haven't been well drilled and stuff like that, and they're not working all as a unit because they haven't had the time to get back in and kind of get it all sorted out and ironed out on a training field. I think the mistakes, I think that's where we're seeing so many sort of mistakes. There's been so many mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think I do think there's the fans, but because as well, but I also think there's that element of the coaches just not, and the games are just coming thick and fast, aren't they? Like, I just don't think they've got the time. It's about rest and recovery now, isn't it? And rotating the squads and putting the player out here and there so that they're fit for another game. So I think that's just I can't see it changing. I mean, look, it's this weekend wasn't a one-off. We had City the other week getting walloped by Leicester.
Yep.
A lot of goals in that game. So yeah, I can definitely definitely see this more. Bring it on, man. I'm going to go put a tenner on Everton to win the league. Like it's just crazy. This could be another year where, you know, it's the team that's going to be the most consistent, that can just sneak their way through. Similarly to the year that Leicester won it. When Leicester won it, it was just inconsistently. There was only two real, one and a bit consistent teams, and that was Leicester and Arsenal. Leicester were consistent, and Arsenal were a little bit consistent, and finished second. But apart from that, everyone was all over the place. And I think this could be a similar sort of season where could get a Villa. That'd be unreal. A Leeds, an Everton.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'd like to see it. I was listening to Jamie Carragher yesterday talking about the Premier League being a bit not boring. It's been great. It's having City and seeing them breaking all these records and Liverpool breaking records, but it's like almost sewn up by like March. Like, you know who's going to win.
Yeah.
You know, and getting to like 95 points, 100 points, or whatever it may be, it's just so high, and the other teams are just can't keep up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when like in the days when it was sort of Arsenal and United battling it out, they'd be winning the league on 84 points and losing 5 games.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's kind of bringing it back to those days where, you know, you're getting 3-horse races, 4-horse races rather than 1 or 2. So yeah, I'm certainly loving it.
Yeah, I think Carragher mentioned that, didn't he, in commentary, that it's very good for the Premier League to have you know, Liverpool getting thumped like they did yesterday, because it does kind of create that. Because I think teams were turning up last season thinking, we just can't beat this Liverpool team. They're too good. We can't beat them, so we'll just, you know, they're going into the game and they've lost it already because they don't actually believe that they can get anything from the game. Whereas now I think there's certainly a lot of frailty, you know, in that Liverpool team, or potentially there is if you exploit it in the right way. And, you know, it's like you say, they had Van Dijk playing, they had Robertson, Trent, Fabinho, you know, a very good team. You know, technically what everyone says the best. You know, can you be the best centre-back in the world and concede 7 goals in a game that you play 90 minutes in? I know you probably can, because Joe Gomez had an absolute howler next to him. Adrian was probably at fault for a good couple of those goals. And
to be fair, there was a lot of deflections, weren't there?
Yeah, 3 of them were deflected.
3 deflections.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, yeah, you know, luck's not against you. But to argue that, because I've heard a few Liverpool fans saying that, oh, you know, this 3rd, 4th, 7th goal, whatever, was deflected. Normally, Liverpool don't give up those shots. A team wouldn't even be getting shots in on goal, let alone, you know, deflecting them and going in. So, yeah, I think you can't. It's one of those where you kind of earn your luck. But yeah, there probably is a little bit of, you know, right to feel hard done by when 3 deflections go in is. But then, you know, they had their fair share of deflections last year. I think I remember Xherdan Shaqiri scored a couple of deflected goals, I think, against Man United last year. So, you know, Premier League does even itself out, and what goes around does tend to come back around. But yeah, I mean, the result, it's by no means, it's you know, it's just going to be a speck in Liverpool's season. They're still going to be a dominant force, and they're still the team to beat at the top. My guess is that Jurgen Klopp uses that result, you know, very well, and that's going to motivate probably an even stronger Liverpool team to return to action for the Merseyside derby in 2 weeks' time. So, I mean, Greg, do you think that result can, you know, in any way work negatively for Liverpool? Do you think there's a challenge there?
I think you mentioned it there briefly. They were on an absolute streak last year. And, you know, that streak was sort of broken once they had won the league properly, you know, with the loss to Manchester City. And I think they lost another couple of games, maybe 1 or 2 games or something. But they can be taken out of their stride. And I think that maybe it won't impact the Liverpool team negatively, but any other team in the league could look at that and go, all right, okay, I fancy that we can exploit a few bits here.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it takes them down a peg a little bit, maybe momentarily, but that Merseyside derby is going to be a difficult game for them, especially with 2 weeks away from each other. you don't want 2 weeks away from each other when you've come off a loss like that. You need to sort of band together and think, all right, we can do this. So it is going to be a tough return for them. They've got something to prove, but Klopp can use that to his advantage, as we've seen. So it's anyone's guess, really.
I can see them losing that game. I mean, if they don't shapen up quickly, I think Calvert-Lewin will give Van Dijk a tough afternoon or evening. I'm not sure what that kickoff is, when that kickoff is. But I agree 100% with what Greg said. I think maybe the top teams, I mean, I've played Chelsea already, but United, maybe Spurs, they might play a little bit with the handbrake on just because they know, they're aware of the danger and they might try and change their system and then it might backfire. And I think that's what Arsenal did. I don't think Arsenal didn't really go for the throat. They didn't really go for it. I think they kind of were a bit, this is Liverpool, like we need to, and they changed their system slightly. I think with the other teams, like your West Brom, they're not doing too great at the moment, but your sort of bottom half table teams, I definitely think that will G them up because it's not just that result. I mean, they could have lost the Leeds game. It's not isolated. This isn't like, they were playing really well and then boom, out of the blue, they got lost 7-2. They could have lost 7-2 against Leeds. That game is so open. And there's some good teams out there. I can definitely, I mean, the writing's on the wall for it to probably be a 0-0, the Merseyside derby, but I can definitely see that being a 4-3 swing either way. Because Everton are on fire at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think we got a new Everton fan here on the show by the sounds of it, in Mr. Johnny Miller. I think I could tally up at least six mentions of Everton so far. But if you hold on, we will talk about that a little bit later in the show, so we can all kind of simp over the blue side of Liverpool. Let's talk then about the other big result yesterday. We've got Man United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 6. At Old Trafford, an absolute annihilation.
Thanks doing the Mourinho smirk.
That what was that thing that he did against where was it? Juventus, I think, in the Champions League for United.
Yeah.
With the ear thing. So, Greg, tell us about this game.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch, really. I've actually really enjoyed watching Tottenham this year, which is something that I've not really been able to say most seasons. It made me think, as I was watching it made me think a lot back to the documentary All or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a word I can't say on the live stream, but when Jose's talking about being intelligent,
okay,
and nice guys finishing last and killing the game, you can really see those influences coming off with this team. Tottenham 2 seasons ago, going 1-0 down in the first minute would have killed the game. I mean, we almost saw it with Everton at the beginning of this season. That 1-0 sort of killed our attitude. However, we answered back straight away and we kept going. We could have been 8-0, 8-1, 9-1 almost at some points. It's really positive to see. I mean, it annoys me slightly that everyone talks about how bad United were, and they were, don't get me wrong, but it can't take away from how good we were. Some of the intelligent play that we were doing, and to the 90th minute we were still attacking. We weren't taking our foot off the pedal at any point. I think we played really well. I'm really excited for Tottenham this season. I'm expecting big things because I think the boys want to. You can tell it's a totally different team. It's really exciting to see. Harry Maguire scares me. I mean, it's all fun and games to look at him and how bad he's our best defender for England. That man.
I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, he is. He's technically considered that, but
yeah, I mean, he's in the driving seat at the moment.
Like, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I agree with you. He's cost more than Van Dijk, didn't he?
85 mil, he was, wasn't he?
What? Jeez. It's not
that. I think the first goal was it Ndombele's goal, Ndombele, whatever, however you pronounce it. Where he pulls Luke Shaw down is just hilarious. I didn't actually watch the game live. It was one of the few games I've missed so far this season, to be fair. And I was following the results, obviously, kind of vice versa of what you did with the Liverpool game. You were kind of updating me on WhatsApp, and I just couldn't believe it when I saw the highlights. I mean, it's just not a Manchester United performance. I mean, I looked yesterday. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was still like 25-1 odds to get sacked. So like that's essentially like safe as you can get. Like pretty much every manager in the league was at 25-1, and you know, can you lose 6-1 at home as a Man United manager and be that confident in your job the next week? Should you be that confident in your job? Or do Man United need to get rid of maybe influences above the baby-faced assassin? John, I'm talking about Ed Woodward.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I listen to TalkSport sometimes in the car and the fans come on. I think the situation is, well, just from what I see here on an isolated incident on TalkSport phoning, is I think a lot of the fingers are being pointed at Ed Woodward and the guys upstairs rather than Ollie. I think they're looking at things like the Jadon Sancho thing and thinking like everybody knew that's what you wanted. It's a little bit like the Thomas Partey situation where it's been, you know, the two have been aligned for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, you know, you're looking now, Arsenal are about to, it's not on the same level, I'm not trying to say compare Jadon Sancho and Thomas Partey, but, you know, it's looking at Arsenal. That's the guy that Arsenal identified, you know, to say that's what they want. It was clear, it was in the papers, everything. And it's looking like they're getting that deal done. And you're looking at Sancho and that's like, you know, it's just looking like that's not going to happen. There's nothing's flashing up on my phone or anything like that. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. I think it seems like a lot of United fans looking at the board and saying like, what is going on? But me personally, I just think, I just don't think Ollie's good enough. I don't think I don't think he's that level. Like Man United, is a top club, and I just think similar to David Moyes, like some of the like sort of tactical things that he does and stuff. It's almost like where they're finishing is where they kind of deserve to be, somewhere between maybe 4th and 6th. Like, you know, yeah, it just, for me, it just doesn't seem like he's good enough.
Greg, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the ambitions changed massively from 10 years ago in the Fergie years. I think the ambition now is just to qualify for Champions League, and that's it, really. I think that Ole is part of the problem, but I don't think... Huh?
Just the way you said it was funny. Ole.
I think he's definitely part of the problem, but you have to look at... I mean, John, you said about Partey and Sancho not being the same kind of player, but it's about the ambition, isn't it? Man United, historically, if they want a world-class player, they get that world-class player. Even when they're at the top of their game, you get world-class players. Sancho's just not happening, is it? And they're panic buying with Edson Cavani, who's a great player. I'm sure he's going to be a great goal scorer for them, but he's been available all summer. If you wanted him, you would have got him at the beginning of the summer, then got Sancho, and then confirmed Tellez and all of that. But on the last day of the season, it just screams panic buy to keep the fans tied over.
Yeah, I definitely think the landscape's changed as well. I think 10 years ago, you couldn't have had a Harry Kane running around banging in goals for Spurs and Man United not come and just pluck him out of there. And now it's like, I can stay here or I can go somewhere else. Man United's not the grass ain't green over there like it used to be. So, the landscape's definitely changed for sure for United.
So you talk about that landscape changing, and I think, you know, surely a lot of that has to do with the noisy neighbours being, you know, so successful, and actually, you know, United are not, you know, they've gone from not being maybe the best team in the country to not even being the best team in their own city. Which I think that's quite difficult to deal with. I think there's just a general lack of respect that board has on the international kind of transfer market, and particularly if you watched All or Nothing, as Greg mentioned, and the way that Daniel Levy seems to go about his business. It just seems like a completely different world to what you'd expect to be going on behind closed doors at Carrington and with Man United. For one, I don't think they will ever get a player at his recommended retail price anymore. I think, you know, it's Man United on the phone, charge him an extra 30%. You know, albeit he is a great player and he's done great things in the Bundesliga for Dortmund, but Jadon Sancho's not 150 million or whatever Dortmund are asking Man United to pay for him.
108 or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and you can bet that, you know, in a few years' time they'll either let his contract run down and he'll go somewhere for free, or someone else will get him for like 50, 60 million because they'll sell him to an actual buyer that they probably respect. And Man United just seem to have lost all respect on that level. You mentioned Cavani. I actually think Cavani is a brilliant signing. He
reminds me a bit of Berbatov.
He's he's got Berbatov / late Forlan vibes. Atletico Madrid Forlan, maybe not Man United Forlan. And also, a little bit of the Falcao kind of element there. Similar deal to when Falcao came to Old Trafford, and it didn't really work out for him. But hopefully, we'll see another class player play in the Premier League.
I will say on Cavani though, I mean, whenever I've seen him play, I don't watch the French league week in week out. Obviously, I've seen him in Champions League. He's got a little bit of Andy Cole about him. Like, he does need about 6 chances to get 2. Or to get 1, sort of thing. He's not. He's not as prolific as, say, a Haaland or something like that. He does need. Whenever I've watched him play, he's a world class player, but he does need a fair few chances. Like, he does miss his fair few.
I mean, that seems to be the main criticism coming out of kind of from Ligue 1 and PSG fans, is that he's missed a lot of sitters in the last couple of years. But if he's the alternative to a banned Anthony Martial probably for the next 2 games, or Odion Ighalo, I certainly think he's probably the best option there. And hopefully we see him flourish. Greg, you got a transfer update for us?
I've got a few come in the last couple of minutes. So Roma have signed Chris Smalling for 18 million on a 3-year deal.
That's a good move.
The Dembele offer for United, that deal's off. It's confirmed. Also had a statement from Jack Wilshere come out on Twitter saying that basically, despite his best efforts and intentions, it's not worked out at the club. He's been fully fit for a large period of the time, but he's just not given the opportunities. So he's frustrated and wants to move off. And also, it looks like Fulham are favourites to take Ruben Loftus-Cheek on loan from Chelsea.
Good move, that.
Which would be a very big move. I mean, maybe we'll use this as a quick opportunity for me to just update on what I think about Fulham this year. Going up via, so when we stopped the show, I think on episode 50, and then, following that, the Championship resumed. Fulham had a great end to the season, very consistent. Just got pipped to that automatic promotion spot by West Brom in the end. Then going through the playoffs, Championship playoff final, there's that feeling of this is it's kind of a win-win or a lose-lose, really, because you lose and you're still in the Championship, but at least you're a big fish in a small pond. Or you go up and you fight for your life every week, and you're taking on, we're looking at teams like this season, obviously Everton smashing it, West Ham turning up and playing out of their skins to beat Leicester this weekend. You've got Wolves, Leeds, all of these kind of mid-table, Burnley, Southampton, they all play a brilliant standard of football. Even Crystal Palace, they're all teams that Fulham are simply not good enough to beat. Based on the lovely football that we played in the Championship. That doesn't translate to playing lovely football in the Premiership. Whereas you can play shithouse football in the Championship and come up and still kind of play your shithouse football in the Premiership and kind of get by like Sheffield did last year. Although obviously they've had a tough start to the season this year. Second season blues, a bit like Huddersfield had a couple of years ago. But yeah, Fulham are now in this position where it's the system that is wrong. And I've really not enjoyed watching the Fulham games on TV because, by the way, Chris Willock has gone to QPR. I've not enjoyed watching the Fulham games on TV because you've got pundits that you can clearly tell have not watched a single Fulham game since the last day of the season 2 years ago when we got relegated. And they're there going, Niskin Skabano is this amazing free kick expert. He scored 3 free kicks at the end of last season, but they were like the only 3 free kicks we've ever seen him take. And, it's frustrating as like a true fan of a club to watch people who are just given a stat sheet before the game talk about your club like they're experts. And yeah, it's the system that we're playing. So we're trying to play this nice championship football in the Premier League. It's opening up, these teams like Arsenal on the opening day of the season. Obviously, Leeds is another kind of deal, really, because they're still a championship team playing in the Premier League. But Aston Villa beat us at home. These teams do not make unforced errors. And in the championship, you can give up maybe 3-4 chances a game, and the players won't have the quality, or the team won't be drilled well enough to capitalise on that opportunity. Or Tim Ream, with his 63 pace, will just about get back and make some mad goal line clearance or something. But in the Premier League, when you've got Aubameyang coming at you down one wing and Pepe on the other, and through the middle you've got Lacazette, and behind that you've got some mad midfielder pulling strings all over the place, you just don't get these moments. And the Premier League has come up so much that even from 2 years ago, when we got absolutely destroyed in the Premier League, the standard's even higher now, and actually we are still playing the same type of football with more or less the same players. Andre Frank Zambo and Geese are still there. Jean-Michel Seri is still somehow making appearances for us in like cup games and stuff. You got Kearney, you got Ream. It's nothing's really changed for us, and it's just really disappointing because we kind of exclusively occupy that zone between being a championship team and being a Premier League team. We're too good for the championship, but we're nowhere near good enough for the Premier League. And I do think that this season, barring some amazing deals today, I know there's a centre-back that we're maybe getting in, the Danish guy from Lyon, and obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek would instantly probably enter our squad as hands down the best player, maybe bar Mitrovic. But even Mitrovic is an elite championship forward, but you probably couldn't put Mitrovic in Arsenal or put him at Man City. He would really struggle with the style of play in the Premier League and the intensity of pressing. And that's all these things have just changed, and it happens to have left Fulham in a really difficult position. And I think Fulham fans are also in a really tough position this year because, everyone's quite realistic about the situation that we're in, and that it would take a miracle. If we've got to get 40 points, you're talking 13, 14 wins. Where are they going to come? No home advantage this year either. So it's not even like we can say, oh, well, we'll make the Cottage a fortress. The Cottage has only got fucking 3 stands this year because one of them's a building site. Like, teams are just going to come in and have a lovely day in London, take home 3 points. And Fulham are probably going to do well to beat Derby's record of 11 points this year. And that's
not happy bunny, is it?
That's my piece on Fulham.
It's not happy bunny.
Let's talk about Everton.
Yeah, can't say I disagree with anything. It's going to be tough. I definitely think they look the weaker of the 3 teams that have come up. I think West Brom do look a little bit weak, but they've got a few superstars in. I can't even say his name. That guy that West Ham sold to them, and Pereira. I think they can. I mean, they're going to pull a few results out of the bag. I still think they'll do well not to go down. But Fulham, I know I haven't watched all the games. I've only watched like 2 of them, the Villa game and the Arsenal game. And I just think where are the goals coming from? Apart from maybe crosses in the box and Mitrovic out jumping people and stuff, they just don't look very creative in midfield. They don't look like they're going to open teams up. Sort of thing, and like you say, unforced errors, they're going to get punished, and everyone's making them. So
yeah, it's going to be a long season. Let's talk then about Everton. Are Everton the real deal? Right, they've got we're potentially getting ahead of ourselves here. They got 12 points from 4 games, but they've looked very impressive. They made some good signings in the summer. Namely, Allen came in, the Brazilian sort of holding midfielder. They bought Decore from Watford, and of course the big marquee signing that everyone's kind of aware of is James Rodriguez in from Real Madrid on loan. Is that right, or is he an actual signing?
No, yeah, I think he's
loan sign. Yeah, loan from Real Madrid. So James Rodriguez. He actually said that I think it was Zidane basically had faith in the players that had played well for him while James was away on loan at Bayern. So that was the reasoning that Zidane didn't want to keep him around. Obviously, he's a little bit older as well, but he's come in and hit the ground running.
You've seen that stat about him that he's done something like 1 sprint.
No, really?
Yeah, like 1 sprint. It just goes to show, like, I look at him and I just look at Ozil and I just think, similar sort of player in terms of they're not going to be hustling, bustling and getting around the pitch. They're going to use their intelligence and open teams up. He just does it at such a higher level than what Ozil's doing. It might be a confidence thing, I don't know, but 1 sprint, it's crazy. Something like that. It's like 1 or 2 sprints in like 4 games.
Wow. Yeah. Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well up front. Is he top scorer? Bro, Son must be top scorer in the Premier League, I would think, at the moment. But
he's got a fair few as well.
Yeah, but Calvert-Lewin seems to not be able to stop scoring at the moment. Will he start, do you think, for England this week, Greg?
I hope so. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think you've got to catch a player like that on form, haven't you, and see what they can do. I'm not familiar with who we're playing actually as England. Do you know who we're playing against?
I'll confirm that England play against Wales actually this week.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see why he shouldn't play. I mean, got to go for it, really. He looks like a very exciting player. I mean, the whole of Everton, and then you look at the manager they've got, Carlo Ancelotti. It's no secret that they've got a brilliant manager with them that knows how to win things. I think they're going to be exciting to see.
Yeah. What I want to do quickly, because obviously we're coming towards the end of the show, is I want to compare them to the 15-16 Leicester team that won the league. And what I need you guys to do, or we can do it as a 3, is we'll decide on these players which one you would rather have in your team not based on how they are now, obviously the Leicester players, based on what they were like then. So in goal, you've got Kasper Schmeichel or Jordan Pickford.
Michael, move on.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, though, Jordan Pickford, a starter for England until Dean Henderson probably starting for Manchester United and takes his place. Then we've got Leicester, Wes Morgan versus Michael Keane. Now I know what Levi would be saying here. Not a big fan of Keane.
Burning hatred for Michael Keane.
Yeah, but yeah, Wes Morgan or Michael Keane.
Oh, and I'll let you go first, Greg, because I jumped straight into Michael, didn't I?
I'll go Captain Morgan.
Yeah, I just said the same.
Okay, well, it's 2-1. I probably would have gone with Keane, but that season Morgan was elite. Right, Robert Huth versus Yerry Mina.
It's a tough one. That is a real tough one because it's quite early days, isn't it? Like, and Yerry Mina did not have a good season last season.
No,
but he was injured. But he had a great Euros.
No, he's Colombian, so World Cup.
Sorry about that. World Cup. He had a great World Cup. I'm gonna go Robert Huth.
Greg,
I'll second that.
You're on Huth as well. Leicester fans here. Leicester Simps. I mean, yeah, based on that season alone, Huth was an absolute brick wall. Like you say, there's still more to play this year with Mina, but yeah, at the moment then, okay, 2 centre backs and goalkeeper are all from Leicester. Then we've got Christian Fuchs versus Digne.
Oh, Digne.
Digne's great. Yeah,
okay, we'll go with that. Also ex-Barcelona, as was Yerry Mina. And then we've got, I think I know the answer to this one, but we've got Danny Simpson versus Seamus Coleman.
I'll go Coleman.
Captain Coleman.
I think Simpson did really well that season. He did really well. I mean, the whole team did, but I just think Coleman's just a better footballer.
Yep. What do you reckon, Greg?
Yeah, no reason to disagree.
Okay. We do promise that in, season 2 of the BTF podcast that we will try and disagree more, but we do have some similar opinions. It's tough sometimes when these things are just facts. Right. So next up, we got Danny Drinkwater versus Decore. John's face is saying something. Decore. But that season, Drinkwater was awesome.
Yeah, you're right.
Playing those deep balls to
what happened to this guy? What happened to
Jamie Vardy? Yeah, it's hard to ignore the last 2 years of Drinkwater, but Decore is looking a very good signing so far.
Ooh. He's Vieira-esque, isn't he?
Yeah. Should we let's let Greg have the deciding vote here.
Oh man, it's tough to tell, isn't it? I'll go Drinkwater. I'll upset the tide a little bit.
Danny D. I think I know the answer to this. I don't think there's too much argument. Allen versus N'Golo Kante.
Kante.
Yeah.
Mr. Kante was Premier League Player of the Year. Then this is where it gets a bit tricky. This position actually is a bit interchangeable because you could have Sigurdsson, you could have Tom Davies, but I've gone for Andre Gomez and Mark Albrighton. Albrighton actually played the most games that season for Leicester, the year that they won the league. I think he had 44 appearances, something like that, in all competitions. But yeah, Andre Gomez, I'm going for as the Everton player in this position. Another ex-Barcelona player, which there seems to be a theme developing.
I'm going for Albrighton, but happy to be challenged.
Albrighton, absolute engine room.
Okay, I'll put my vote in for Gomez, but Albrighton takes it. I do think Gomez is a very good player, and obviously coming back from that horrific injury he had last season, doing pretty well. Let's go then. These are the three that are tough to decide. So you've got Riyad Mahrez and James Rodriguez. Mahrez 15-16. I mean, at the moment, like let's just clarify that we are basing a 4 games versus a full season of winning the Premier League in the most incredible narrative that's ever taken place in the Premier League. But yeah, Riyad Mahrez and James Rodriguez.
I'm going Mahrez, but if I was to sit down and plan it out and make a team, I'd find a way to get
both
James in that starting 11 because he's a world-class
player. All
right,
well, I'll help you out here then. I'll help you out. We'll do Mahrez versus Richarlison.
Still going Mahrez.
Mahrez, okay. And then Richarlison's out of the running then. So Mahrez, no Richarlison. Then that gives us Jamie Vardy versus Calvert-Lewin.
Sorry, I do like Calvert-Lewin at the moment, but Vardy was an absolute machine. The goal they scored against Liverpool from the long goal, the long kick, and he just volleyed it.
Yeah.
Right.
What a beast.
Can't see Calvert-Lewin doing none of that. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I got to agree with that. I mean, Vardy was like the top dog, really, wasn't he, that year? Him and Mahrez, were just a machine. Okay, so then that leaves Greg, are you okay with us going with Jamie Vardy?
Yeah, definitely. I think I prefer Dominic, but Vardy's just, that season.
In some ways, I wish Jamie Vardy still played for England. I think he's more than good enough to lead the line for England. But obviously he's retired. So then this leaves us with, again, this was another position that was kind of interchangeable for Leicester in that season. Sometimes they played that Leonardo Uchoa or Iloa or whatever how you pronounce it. But I've got Shinji Okazaki, I think, who played 36 games that season. And yeah, he is up against the main man, James Rodriguez. So I think we probably know where that's going. Okazaki was incredible that season again. It was such a squad effort that year by Leicester, but we would quite like to get James into this team. So
have to.
Shall I star him up?
Yeah, Start him up.
Cool.
Sure.
So that leaves us then with Kasper Schmeichel in goal. Then we've got Wes Morgan and Huth as the centre-back pairing with two Everton full-backs next to him in Luca Digne and Seamus Coleman. Then we've got a midfield of Danny Drinkwater, N'Golo Kante and Mark Albright. I probably would add that really that midfield, if you're not doing them head-to-head, would be Drinkwater, Kante, and then either Decore or Allen. Because people will probably say, you'd take in Albrighton over Decore or Allen. Then we've got Mahrez, Vardy, and James up front. But yeah, final question for the show then is that question that you posed earlier. Can Everton go all the way? And I also want a prediction, although we'll be able to make another prediction this time next week, but a prediction for the Merseyside derby.
Greg, you go first.
I don't think that Everton will go all the way. I don't think we're going to see a Leicester situation, because I think that Leicester was such a one-off. I think that other teams will be wise to it. And I think they're going to burn out at some point. The Merseyside derby is going to be an interesting one. They've both got goals in them, but I reckon that Liverpool have got the bigger point to prove, and they'll go out there and they'll want to kill the game. I'll say 3-1.
Okay, 3-1 to Liverpool.
Yes, Liverpool.
Yeah, I want to see it. I mean, as much as I'd rather Arsenal be that team to sneak in and do it. I disagree. I do think we are going to see a situation. I'm just not sure who it's going to be. I'm slightly wary of Spurs, but I do like Everton. I think with Richarlison, he's working hard, and he hasn't even hit his purple patch yet. He hasn't really had his form. He's got a good 10, 15 goals in him. I'm going to go for it. In fact, as soon as we get off this, I'm going to go put a $5 on it.
It's gone down from a tenner to a $5.
Yeah, because Greg took me out of it a little bit. So I'm only going to sacrifice a $5. I'm going to put it on them. I fully expect them to dip and fall off, but just for the romance element of it, I'm going to stick a $5 on them, and I'm going to get that other $5 and I'm going to stick it on Arsenal. To win the league this year. But for the Merseyside derby,
get that other $5 and throw it in the bin.
I'll put it on Fulham.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, gosh.
For the Merseyside derby, I'm going to go 3-3.
Nice. I mean, I cannot wait for that game. And like you say, it's a perfect situation. Liverpool kind of showing that frailty going into that game, and Everton being on top. When in the last 20 years have we kind of had Everton so evenly poised going into a Merseyside derby? I certainly can't remember it. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to that. I want to do a quick thing here for social media, and we'll try and summarize as much of the show into let's say 60 seconds, and in which case I just need to get an actual timer up. Unless, Greg, you want to be the official BTF timekeeper on this one. Do you have your phone handy? You can just get a 60-second timer up and maybe give me a hand signal. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go through key transfers for transfer deadline day. Then we'll summarize the 7-2, the 6-1, and then we'll quickly talk about Everton, and we'll try and get all of that into 60 seconds that we can put onto Instagram. So when you're ready, I'll sort of kick it off and direct us in different ways. So,
okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is the 51st episode of the BTF podcast, and we're going to try and summarize everything we talked about in 60 seconds for social media. So first up, we have transfer deadline day. There's been some key transfers today. Greg is going to quickly tell you about at least 2 of those.
Yep, big deals. Chris Smalling going back to Italy, and Jack Wilshere cancelling his contract with West Ham.
He's out of contract. Fulham sign him up. John, Arsenal making moves for a particular man from Madrid.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a big move. They've triggered that release clause so they can start having those conversations with the player and La Liga. And yeah, let's get him in, man. We need that Vieira still back in.
That is Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey for the viewers. Let's quickly talk then about 7-2. Is this well, we're never going to get within the 60 seconds here. It's going to be the 2-minute segment. So 7-2. Is this a result that Liverpool are going to use in their favour going forward? Greg.
Go on, Greg.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's going to rally them. Klopp's men's going to be rallied by it. Definitely, especially going into that Merseyside derby. They have got a point to prove. And you can bet your bottom dollar that if there's a team to prove it, it's going to be Liverpool. John?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think the international break is going to throw a spanner in the works. He can't really get his players out on the training field, and I think it's just going to be a big punch up on the field. And yeah, I think it's going to be all sorts of goals, all sorts of mistakes, and I'm going for 3-3.
Nice. Next up, we have Man United 1, Tottenham 6 from Old Trafford. Greg obviously had the time of his life in this game. Should Ollie still be the manager at Man United, or are the problems above him, John? Get him out. Is that what you're saying? And Greg, you agreeing with that?
Absolutely, yeah, but he isn't the real problem.
And very, very lastly here, who's better, Leicester in 2015-16 or the current Everton team?
Leicester.
Okay, well, there we go. That is a pretty quick summary of the BTF podcast. We'll be back every Monday from now on, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll be having some really good guests on the show. And yeah, I hope you all can join us each week. As ever, boys, thank you very much for being on the show today. It's been great to be back. Good to talk about football. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season ahead. So glad to be sharing the journey with you both. And Levi, hopefully next week. So yeah, we'll see you all soon. As ever, thank you for watching.